Hello everyone, my name is Eyler. I am a project manager at FedEx Ground, and I am here today to discuss the strategic vision I have for autonomous vehicles at FedEx. So, hope you enjoy. So our agenda here is going to be talking about the history of the parcel transportation industry, as well as the history of the autonomous vehicle industry. Next, we'll get into an ROIC analysis of FedEx and UPS, as well as go into the internal structure, culture, and strategic focus of FedEx as a company, and then talk about how to leverage this emerging technology to the benefit of FedEx Ground and FedEx in general. And then I'll just conclude with some closing remarks. So the history of the parcel transportation industry goes back quite a ways, back to, wagons and buggies, and so to speak. But it really took off around 1907 with the invention of the automobile. And a small company called American Messenger Company utilized a Ford Model T to make some of the first deliveries with a vehicle. So this company got a start with an emerging technology and then kind of went from there. So this company actually later renamed itself United Parcel Service, which is what we know today as lovely UPS. So they kind of operated unmatched, so to speak, with the Postal Service for many, many years until the emergence of FedEx in 1971, which set up an air network that was more efficient and cut into their market share. They operated mainly as an express delivery unit until they purchased Roadway Package System based out of Moon Township in 2000, which they later rebranded to be FedEx Ground, which is where I work. So now that we understand a little bit about the parcel transportation industry, we can talk about some of the recent trends in the business. So historically speaking, parcels that are transported would be dropped off at department stores or other major retailers, so hundreds of boxes at a time, right? So one stop, lots of boxes. Well, the rise of the internet has made e-commerce possible, where a customer can buy one thing or two things and have it just sent directly to their house. This creates the problem of inefficient trips. So instead of going to one department store, you're now going to say you're still going to the department store, but you're going to 50 other houses in the neighborhood. Instead of delivering 100 packages per stop, you're delivering like 1 or 2 packages per stop, which is incredibly inefficient and raises the cost and lowers the margin on the entire industry. So how has FedEx reacted to e-commerce? Well, one thing they have done is try to increase density of deliveries by absorbing and integrating their FedEx Smart Post product, which they used to give to the Postal Service for many, many years, but have since now insourced as of 2020. Well, late 2019, early 2020. They also have invested in creating dynamic routing software that allows service providers for FedEx Ground to get a intelligent route sent to their scanning device, which tells them which stops to service first and, in what order, which makes things more efficient. So, luckily we had these things in place because, as you can see, hopefully you can see on the chart in the top right, e-commerce as a percentage of retail sales has spiked significantly in 2020, mainly due to the pandemic, but it was a trend that was already increasing. So having those two things I just talked about in place for FedEx was very intelligent, but still e-commerce shift is a difficult thing to conquer due to the increased costs. E-commerce is also on the rise, has seen Amazon build their own delivery network, which is now directly competing with FedEx, UPS, and USPS. As you can see in the figure on the right, bottom right, Amazon now makes up 12.8% of package deliveries in the United States as of 2019. So now that we understand the parcel delivery industry, let's talk a little bit about the autonomous vehicle industry. So just to make sure we're on the same page here, an autonomous vehicle is a vehicle that is capable of going from point A to point B without human direction. So completely uses its suite of sensors to get from its starting location to its final location without any human intervention. In recent years, we've seen some breakthroughs in terms of investments, as well as just technical hurdles being overcome by companies such as Uber, Google, Chevrolet, to name a few. However, the one I will focus on in this presentation is Nuro, which is a company that focuses entirely on cargo autonomous vehicles, which means they can focus more on safety and less on the comfort of the ride, since the pizza that's in the back is not going to care about the comfort of the ride. Being focused on safety, they accomplished something that no one else has done by being the first company to get an exemption from the government to operate fully autonomously on public roads as of 2020. This accomplishment was attractive to FedEx and led to FedEx seeking a strategic partnership with Nuro, which was recently announced on the 15th of June. That being said, there are still some hurdles for this nascent industry. There is no agreed upon regulatory standard. Nationally, there's a patchwork of laws in different states, particularly in California, that could serve as a base of future national regulation, but there isn't one to speak of yet, so it's kind of hard to judge the pace of development and where to go from an industry perspective until we have a better sense of what the regulatory situation is going to look like. There's also an extreme risk aversion in this business because no one wants to be the first company to, or another company to wound somebody or cause an accident while in autonomous mode. So despite having advanced capabilities, a lot of these businesses opt to keep things very risk averse and not maybe show off all it can do and could slow down development. So both UPS and FedEx are examining AVs for their businesses. FedEx, as I discussed, is with Nuro. UPS is purchased into a different sort of AV carrier. So thought it was worth talking about our ROIC analysis of both businesses. So on the top line figure, FedEx is in the lead with a 4.4% over 3.42. But that's pretty close. But if you dig into the other numbers, you can see that there are some differences of note, particularly at the top here with return on revenue. So FedEx is slightly higher at that of turning revenue into profit, and my belief is that is due to the FedEx Ground independent service provider network model, which incentivizes productivity as opposed to just paying by the hour. So FedEx Ground contracts with local businesses to make pickup and delivery service, and they pay them by stops and packages delivered. So actual money-making events as opposed to just paying by the hour, which is what UPS does. However, on the bottom of the chart, you can see that UPS is better at managing their capital costs. And my theory on that is that UPS, having a all-employee workforce, is able to co-locate their express and ground buildings at a greater degree than FedEx can, which is basically zero. So there's less redundancy in terms of building cost. So they are better at leveraging their capital. However, they're still very close. So how can either of these companies break away from each other and have a higher ROIC compared to the other competitor? And as the title of my presentation might suggest, I'd say that adopting AVs can be a way to break this stalemate through offering new services to increase revenue as well as increase route efficiency by decreased costs. All right, next we're going to get into the FedEx internal culture and strategic focus. So at FedEx, we follow a few simple tenets here. So first one being safety above all, meaning that we operate around a certain amount of heavy machinery and both on the ground and in the facility. So keeping safety a prime focus, not deviating from it, is something that we stress above all else. But then getting into that is something that we call PSP, so people, service, profit, with the belief being that if you treat your people with respect, you nurture their development and generally ensure that they live in a happy work environment, they're not only going to continue to want to come to work and be productive, they're going to grow in their roles and become more valuable to the company over time because they continue to work for FedEx and they gain new skills and they are happy to be a part of a team. So having this type of workforce drives the service that we are able to offer to our customers to be at a higher level than our competitors, and that in turn drives profit. So having a higher degree of service, a better service, means more people are going to want it and they'll pay more for it. On the internal focus here, so strategy is something that we obviously are focused on at FedEx, and we're not afraid to change. Because we have a good example of that is our old IT systems, or our IT management systems, I should say, were rather outdated and archaic. So if you wanted to get something done by the IT department, you needed to write a report essentially that listed out every little thing that you wanted to do and any system that it touched. And it was a onerous process. However, I should say it was an onerous process, and it probably smothered a few good project ideas in the crib, so to speak, in prior years. So in the past few years, FedEx has made the transition to an agile IT development system, which is more focused on collaborative meetings between IT and the business, working in shorter sprints of time so that there's more touch points and that you can get more bang for your buck by getting pieces of software released as you get to the final goal. So I think all this is important because having people who have been in their positions for a long time, who are committed to the business, who know what they're doing, as well as a flexible IT infrastructure, are going to marry very well to allow FedEx to leverage the opportunity of autonomous vehicles. Since it is a challenging and new technology, you need to have experienced, motivated people and a flexible IT development infrastructure to make that happen. So this all leads to 4 recommendations that I believe FedEx can use to strategically deploy AVs to generate revenue, lower cost, and be more sustainable. First being appointment deliveries. So basically saying, hey, I want a delivery between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. So FedEx already offers this service, but we are bad at it. There is no internal incentives for a service provider to get there within that window that is set by the customer, and we often miss them. So this not only makes the customer mad, and they might not come back to FedEx, period. They might also, post about it on social media, spread bad PR. So if you were able to use an autonomous vehicle that can be pinpointed down to like a 30-minute window to get to an appointment, that can greatly increase your chances of not only pleasing that customer, but also getting them to buy that service again, as well as maybe encourage it to their friends. So a few different things there that will really increase revenue, has the potential to increase revenue, as well as take a difficult to fulfill delivery off the hands of our existing drivers so they can have a more productive day. And then the next one you see here is same-day delivery. So the pandemic really kicked this one into gear, but it has been a growing trend in recent years that some people say they want a few things from Target or Walmart, but they don't want to drive to Target or Walmart to go get it. They would rather just have a truck, drop it off at their house. So this market demand has been increasing, escalating in recent years, and retailers really don't have a solution for that because they don't have an existing fleet of vehicles. So if you had a fleet of AVs that are really specifically designed really to fit this purpose, FedEx could say, hey, Target, Walmart, I see you have a demand for these same-day deliveries. We can allow you to use our vehicles for a nominal fee to meet that demand and fill that gap. So whatever transportation company has this type of vehicle in their fleet is going to be differentiated from their competition because same-day deliveries are becoming much more popular. The third recommendation to leverage this technology are late pickups. So I started at this company in 2016 as an engineer in the pickup department. And whenever new pickups were coming in, you would often hear that customers would be requesting for the latest possible pickup, latest thing we can get. And that was really hard to accommodate because our existing drivers are generally done around 4 or 5 o'clock, and they would have nothing to do until that pickup window opened if we had it, say, 7 o'clock. So that really was a non-starter, and we would never accommodate that. So not only is the customer not getting what they want, we're also missing a possible opportunity for a higher surcharge for a more specialty service. So by allowing an AV to do this, you can not only capture this demand, you can increase the revenue that you're getting. And then the last thing to recommend is carbon neutrality. So more governments are requiring this over time. FedEx has actually committed to a carbon neutrality by 2040. And AVs are obviously fully electric vehicles that are good at offsetting older polluting vehicles from the road. And there is a good chance of PR windfall by fighting climate change and talking about it in the media. All right, so in conclusion, the parcel delivery industry is changing quite a bit. E-commerce is booming and it is increasing costs and making businesses less profitable. So a solution needs to be found. And concurrently with this, AV technology is also maturing. So companies in this space are investing in this business and they are smart to do so. FedEx and UPS are very close in terms of ROIC. So one way to differentiate themselves would be to deploy AVs as fast and as smartly as possible. To do this, it takes a strong internal culture and an innovative spirit that I believe FedEx has. And I believe the 4 clearest opportunities for AVs right now are to increase revenue, lower cost, and protect the environment, are appointment deliveries, same-day deliveries, late pickups, and then fostering carbon neutrality. So that is all. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on AVs and FedEx, and I look forward to reviewing some of yours. Thank you all.